What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Adam's TV Podcast. I am your host, Adam Samuel. We're here to talk about Big Brother. We just saw about a couple hours ago the 6-5 vote that saw Winston leaving the Big Brother house. We are going to be talking all about the eviction, some of the other things that went down on the feeds this week, and some of the past episodes. At the end of the show, we're going to be touching on some spoilers. We do have an HOH who is known. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on in the night. But I will say that joining me today on the night of Angie's daughter's birthday, it is Ryan. How you doing, Ryan?
I was doing well until you dragged my name through the mud on my daughter's birthday. You're disgusting.
Absolutely disgusting. That was a pretty iconic moment. We're going to touch on it a bit more. But this episode that we saw, it was 10 out of 10, right? This eviction.
Oh yeah, this was like a 10 out of 10. But like we've been so blessed with like every week being a good eviction, which we never get. Like normally when seasons start out with like that power like first week punch, it's like it dissipates by week 2, week 3, but this week it's still going.
I am still a little bit in awe of the episode. I mean, it had everything you could want. It had a blind side, it had Hamlet, it had a cameo from Angela. Like, what more could you want from this kind of show, from an eviction, right?
I mean, I could do without the furniture getting its own DR session, but it happened.
It happened. So let's go to the headline of the night without touching on the spoilers. Winston, he's evicted 6-5. He has the votes against of Rachel, Casey, Angela, JC, Tyler. Brett actually, however, has 5 votes. Caitlin, Angie, Rockstar, Fessy, Bailey, Haley. 1 vote cost this entire eviction. Whose vote do you think it was, Ryan?
It was Tyler's, ultimately. I know, like, the show kind of played it up like Sam's, but, like, Tyler was in control of his vote, where his loyalties lie, and probably Sam's vote as well. So, like, ultimately, this came down to him.
Yeah, this was pretty nuts. I mean, I was keeping up with the feeds a little bit, not so as liberally as I usually do. I thought, reading everything that was going on, I thought it was a pretty sure bet that Brett was going to be leaving. But are you happy that he's still in the house, or do you kind of wish things had gone differently?
I mean, they were both garbage. I can't decide which one's the better villain because Brett kind of fills like that role, especially with that fight with Angie after. But then at the same time, Winston has been like the like prime villain so far. So I was really conflicted. It's kind of like evicting like white bread with mayo or white bread without mayo. Like which one? Who cares?
Let's talk a little bit about Winston because coming into the season, he was the #1 pick on your draft. I even was pretty high on him. I had him pretty high up on my power rankings. But then he entered the house and everything kind of changed. What do you think kind of happened with Winston? Because it was so much was going for him and it all just disappeared so quickly.
We really thought that Winston was going to act like Angela. And typically when a male like Winston acts like Angela, he ends up winning the game or at least going really far without having to try. So that was kind of like not only my thought process, but I think like a lot of the fans' thought process. But he got in and he showed that he is a crackhead through and through. He really was insane. He was a bully, I will say it. He was a gun-loving psychopath, and he shot himself.
It was a pretty good. You kind of drove that pretty well. Like it was. I like that. So, like I said, this is the third week, I believe, the third week in a row that's been a blindside. I will just say, in my personal opinion, I love this. Like this is exactly the kind of thing. This is the great television. Like I always, what are the criteria of a good season? It's give me good television. And in my opinion, this was a good television moment. Are you kind of a fan of these blindside moments, or do you think it's more you go for the more subtle moments?
Oh, no. I want the big drama. I want the yelling. I want the fighting. I want the fingers. I want the look it up. Magna coup, low honors. Those are the moments I want.
Yeah. Pretty much same here. So let's kind of get into, just before we go back all the way to the beginning of the week. Winston is evicted. He actually pretty dramatically just gets up, doesn't even, I think he gives he gives Brett a hug and then just storms out the door. He throws a friendship bracelet, which, by the way, when he was kind of giving his talk like to Julie afterwards and he said the word friendship bracelet, like my mind kind of went to a certain place. And then she said it was from Sam. Then I was like, okay, I understand. But all his eviction was perfect. It was just missing the F y'all from Cornbread to be just as iconic. If that was if he had said that, it would have been pretty much a legendary. Do you agree, Ryan?
I think it's already legendary. I mean, for someone, here's the thing: he wasn't even really betrayed. It's not like his alliance like turned on him to flip to someone else. Like there were two people in the alliance, him and his best friend. They had to vote one of them out. He knew that. He acknowledged that. He even said like, it's okay, whatever y'all do, just whatever. And then it happens and he's like, oh my God, how fucking dare you? Like, you are so far up your own ass. It is next level.
And before even Julie is talking to him, there's some stuff going on already back in the house. It was at first I thought it was Angie actually starts yelling. I thought she was yelling at Tyler, but it turns out she was just actually yelling at Brett. It was the legendary meltdowns. Like these are the best moments, the meltdowns, which is kind of a little bit weird to be saying, but yeah, that's the kind of good stuff on Big Brother. What did you kind of think about Angie's kind of a freak out?
I was so happy. I couldn't have asked for anything more. This was like the Jesse and Rennie parallels that we had been waiting for. When she got in his face, told him that he was disgusting over and over. When she told him, it's fine, we'll get you out again anyway. Oh my God. Like, here's the thing. With like Big Brother 19 drama, there was plenty of yelling, but it was like really ugly
Bullying.
And like bullying type drama. You know, like it was personal. I want game drama, and this was my game drama.
In Big Brother, it was like 10 people against 2 people, and that's never fun. This way, there's like 2 sides. Like people have other people that they could talk to that are probably going to be on their sides. It's not gang related. It's not like everyone is all on one person. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's kind of my thought. Another thing that I just want to touch on from the eviction episode is Brett's his final plea was kind of, I'm not sure if it was hilarious or epic. What did you think it was, Ryan?
I think that it was a try-hard move. Like, here's the thing. If it was a strategic player, I'd be like, wow, he was really riling Angie up to turn those people against each other. But it's not. It's Brett. He was just trying to fuck with the person that he doesn't agree with. So I don't think it was a good move for him, but it was also a bad move for Angie to react like she did.
Yeah, I am kind of going to share your sentiments. But on the topic of Brett, I feel like this was the week of a few players. In my opinion, there were 4 kind of stars of this week, and Brett is, I feel, definitely one of them. A lot of people are kind of appreciating. He has this very stone cold, like, I'm just going to stab you right in the front, and I'm going to look you in the eyes while I do it. Mm-hmm. It's not a tactic that usually works very well on Big Brother, but are you kind of thinking he has a shot of going deep in this game, or do you think his days are potentially numbered?
It's tough because Brett is kind of like the archetype that normally goes deep without having to try hard. But this is more of like an old school season, and I hope I don't jinx it by saying that, but I think that he might be, at this point, with his antics this week, I think he might have put himself too out in front of like the level 6 group to fade back in when the other side gets power.
I feel like one of the reasons these archetypes kind of go deep in the game is usually because they get into a showmance. Like Brett kind of isn't in one. Usually they have like the duo, like the Kate. What was her name on Big Brother Canada? Derek and
Kayla.
Kayla, yeah, those two. Like there's usually the duo, the McCray and the Amanda. They kind of go far. He's kind of not. He's kind of a lone soldier, which I feel kind of lowers his like target ability, but usually they still kind of go deep. So what the hell do I know? But let's take this back. Let's go all the way back. Last time we spoke, we had our HOH competition. It came down to Scotty and Rachel. Rachel has this kind of ridiculous number to this question. I half expected the punishment guy to come up and yell at her and say, that is the worst math I've ever seen. 0 stars. And that joke has been made 100 times, but I just still had to say it. So Scotty is the new HOH. At first, he has this idea that he wants to level the playing field. He says he sees there are two sides. He's on kind of one of the sides, but also kind of in the middle, and he's going to take a shot at level 6 because they're just too big. And Tyler is not happy about this, right, Ryan?
Oh no, and Tyler's not happy, but he did what I did not expect when he was like, "Okay, I'm going to take an L on this one." And I don't know that I agreed with that move because I feel like he had the social pull with Scotty to convince him, but he didn't try very hard. He pushed a little, but I feel like he could have pushed a lot more and he might have got something accomplished. So I think that Tyler didn't do enough this week to protect himself.
Yeah, we see. Like I said, Tyler kind of he goes up to Scotty. He actually has some of his alliance members also go up. They kind of push the agenda of Angie Rockstar. We want her on the block. We could get her out pretty easily. We have the numbers, but Scotty, he's not buying it. He says no. And like you said, Tyler, he's kind of like, you know what? I'm going to take a step back. You could have this one, Scotty. In my opinion, was it a good move? I'm not really sure because on the one side, if he was to push too far, he does kind of risk himself getting exposed, which could be a pretty major problem. But on the other side, if he doesn't, he's also losing a member, and it's kind of evening back up the playing field a little bit. But in the long run, I do think it was the smart idea to take the L, like you said, because it's just not worth it. To every single week, you're just going to keep pushing yourself to that forefront, and that's pretty much just my opinion. Do you think that that's the good play?
Yeah, like there's definitely a point that he shouldn't cross. And he didn't, but like I don't think he went far enough. Like I think he could have done a little bit more before getting to that point.
Do you think there was at all a chance that Scotty maybe would have said that, you know what? I'm going to take a shot at level 6. I'm going to put you up, Tyler. Do you think that was ever a possibility? I
No.
think I mean, they were kind of like friendly. He in the end, before the eviction of Swaggy C, he actually pushes Scotty, and I guess he kind of like mists him into taking the vote against him. So yeah, there is kind of that relationship. I don't know how is the relationship now in this week and kind of moving forward. Is it strong? Is it damaged? How would you say it's going?
It is damaged, but not because Tyler pushed his own agenda, more so because Tyler was exposed a little bit by the other people in the house. So it's definitely weakened, but Scotty is still, I think, going to stick with Tyler over a good chunk of other people in the house, as at least for now.
All right. So like we said, Scotty, he's now going to take the shot at level 6. And now he decides that the two people he's going to put up are the bros, Winston and Brett. There's a lot of options to choose from in level 6. Do you think these two were the good, smart choice for Scotty's own game to go for?
I think that Brett was the right target. It's a logical play to put Winston up with him, but I feel like he should have worked harder to nominate people that ensured Brett went home. I understand not wanting Winston to be picked for veto and win, but Winston couldn't win shit anyway. But I think that Winston going is a bad move for Scotty's game, even though you should be breaking up the bros, if that makes sense.
I mean, I feel like once Scotty decided that, you know what, I'm going to put the bros up, that bridge has been crossed. There is no going back the other way. Those two are now going to be burned for him, period. As we even see, like we said, he does eventually go along with his plan. He decides he's going to put the two up. And we get this moment, like kind of right after Winston goes up to him and he says, "You're done. It's over. I'm gonna survive this week." Well, guess not, but I'm going to make sure your game ends. And that mindset could kind of linger with Brett moving forward into the next week. Do you think that is something he should be worried about?
Yes. Here's my thought process. I think that, like, I definitely don't think he should have used veto or anything to take a bro off. Like, once he did it, he had to stick with that spot. But I think he should have put Brett and a piece of the furniture up, because I think that Brett would have gone home, and I don't think Winston would. I mean, you can be mad, but you can't do anything about it. It's like having Kathy Hillis come in after you, like, "Oh, sorry," you know?
Yeah, I guess so. So let's kind of move forward. So go
One more
on.
thing. I do want to say I think that the major fault with getting Brett out is I think this secures Rachel's loyalty to level 6 kind of further on. I think if Brett had left and Winston had stayed, the thing is like Winston really pissed off Rachel like very often in the house. And I feel like if you take Brett out of that equation and you leave Winston in there, there's enough tension to where I think things start to fracture than if Brett had left.
All right. So we do still have the level 6 now. If you were Scotty and you're looking at this competition, you're thinking, I need to take down level 6 and I need to just cut it so that everyone is divided. What do you think is the right move to kind of go about doing that?
In terms of
Fracturing them, like breaking them. Like this is a strong alliance. Like if Dan is looking at them and he says, I want that gone, I want it broken down, I want to figure out a way to kind of break it down. In my opinion, wouldn't the right move maybe be Brett and Angela or Winston and Rachel? Like kind
I
of
think it would have been Brett and Angela, Brett and Rachel, Brett and Casey. You know, nominating Brett with one of the girls who's not going to be targeted, especially by the other girls in the house.
okay. So let's kind of move forward. So those are the nominees. Like we said, Winston has this huge blow up, which at this point, if I'm Scotty, it's over. Like anything this man is going to say to me, it's over. He needs to go home. That bridge is burned. You need to leave. And Scotty, I kind of felt for him because this guy, Winston's like a big guy, and he's just kind of threatening him. He does kind of have the crazy eyes at times, right, Ryan?
Oh my God, all the time. Like people complained about Cody's eyes and like them being dead, but this was like anti-Cody. You know, they were like too much like serial killer type stuff. Like it was horrifying.
All right. So moving forward, we go to the veto competition, and someone actually pointed out on Reddit that they totally misnamed this competition. It is Mamma Mia themed, but it should have been the correct title should have been, I think it was Here Veto Again. Like, get it? Like I thought that was like the kind of perfect missed. I totally agreed with this Redditor. And this competition, it's kind of like we've seen this a little bit in the past with like Paul and like the dog costumes and like the spinning. It's also the bowl arena kind of competition. I would not be good at this competition. I would be drunkenly falling over everything. Would you have fared well here?
I don't know. I don't typically get that intoxicated to the point of like the Scotty spinning. But I feel like I don't know, it really depends on who you're competing against because this is very much like it's racing against the other people. So depending on their skill set, you might fare well or you might not.
What do you kind of think is the strategy for it? Like what would your gameplay here be?
It is not the Winston Kathy Hillis method of take your time on this one. It's a race. You can't take your time. You need to, I think, I don't know, you got to get your spins done, and then you just have to kind of don't stack. I honestly don't know. Maybe like get on your knees so like your center of balance is like of gravity is lower. I honestly don't know. Just try your best.
I'm taking my time on this one.
Oh, on this
one. Oh, okay. Don't worry. This isn't a race
or anything.
Yeah, but so we get to the competition, and Winston is just awful here. He's these bros. You kind of would expect them to kind of do well at these competitions, and the funny thing is that Ryan, you and I, we both have the same amount of HOH and veto wins as Winston, which is there's a stat right there, but it kind of all crashes and burns. Scotty is the one who ends up winning the veto. Rachel, though, kind of comes in. I think she was like the next closest. Actually, it looked like she was like 1 or 2 seconds away from.
She was like almost there. She was 1 wine glass away.
Yeah. So Scotty, he gets the veto. And as soon as I found that I heard that he got the veto, I was thinking, Brett's done. Like, it's over. Brett, like, of these two choices, the correct decision is probably Brett. And where did kind of things shift there?
I never thought that Brett was done. I thought that it's a very fluid situation because I feel like it really is having almost the same option in both seats. I think that it makes sense that level 6 and their like surrounding parts did what they did. So I think that the Winston's biggest mistake was that he did the majority of his campaigning to the people that were already voting for him. And like that's a hell of a lot more campaigning than Elena Davis ever did. But I mean, like that you went to the wrong people. He should have been focusing on people like Sam and even people like JC or Angela.
The way I see it is if I'm one of the voters and I'm looking at these two people, I see that Winston is going to he's going to sink his own ship on his own. Like he's probably going to, he's a bit of a loose cannon. Brett, a little bit more strategically minded. I feel like if I'm looking at these two, I think Winston's going to do something nuts and he's like a little bit Zach Rance, like a little bit where the target is going to be so much on him. I would think that everyone would go, all right, we have to get Brett out because he's a little bit more strategically minded and he's a deeper game threat. I feel like Winston would have been gone. Let's say Brett goes home and Winston's still here. I feel he's still gone in a week or two, honestly. Do you kind of think that, do you kind of agree with what I'm kind of saying, or do you think I'm a little wrong?
No, I agree with everything you're saying, except I don't know who a Zach Ranch is. I've never heard of that person. Never seen a season with that person. So everything else I agree with.
Maybe it's a salad dressing. Zach Ranch. All right. Yeah, so let's kind of move on. So like we said, Scotty is now the veto winner and he decides correctly not to use it. So these two are our final nominees going into the eviction. And it's these two guys, they start doing their campaigning. So Brett and Winston, they both have their level 6 alliance. The other side is the Faute, or I think it's the Sacred 6 at this point. We don't really know like what their like alliance name is, but Winston, he's looking at these two and he starts, like you said, he starts campaigning to the Faute, the Sacred 6 side. He goes to Caitlyn, he goes to Angie, he goes to Fessy, he goes to Bailey and Haley. And he does kind of get them really on board with his pitches. He starts talking a lot about how he's not going to go after them. He's trying to kind of keep his he's trying to keep an open mind going into this week. And Brett does kind of do a little bit of campaigning. What did you think, Ryan, about the campaigning of these two contestants for this week?
I think that Brett went about it pretty well because I feel like Brett just had to remain the obvious benefit to level 6. Obviously that was the key to him staying. Winston, he just campaigned to the votes he already had, which I guess like he didn't realize. So like that's kind of not his fault, but also you need to play Big Brother well. So you should realize who's voting for you to stay already. But I feel like Winston just campaigned to the wrong people. He should have focused on Sam, on Angela more.
So that's kind of the correct play. But what did Winston do right? You said he did right, but what was the right things that he was kind of saying for his campaign?
I mean, in like the logical sense, he went up to someone like Rockstar, for example, and he actually started to have conversations with her. Granted, you shouldn't do that week 3 when you're on the block, and that shouldn't be the first time you're doing it, but that is the right move to make, especially if you were supposed to be the one staying. So like it is like you should be doing that. You should be reaching out to everyone. I just wish he had not stopped at the people he did. He should have gone further.
Speaking of Angie Rockstar, we do actually get this pretty odd segment of hers. She's there's a rock climbing wall in the Big Brother house, and she gets stuck. But luckily, don't worry, guys, don't worry. Caitlyn is on the case. This is her job. This is what she does. And I want to ask, Ryan, if instead of the rock wall, you're dangling off a cliff, and Caitlyn is she's balancing on the cloud that Tyler has lent her. She is there. She is doing this position, and she has a third eye. Would you be inclined to listen to her advice?
I think that I'm gonna jump off the rock wall or the cliff as fast as I can and just take my chances.
I didn't watch this live, but someone sent me a clip of it afterwards, and I was just watching through it, and there was like a point where I looked down and I was like, how is this still going on? Because it goes on for like 10 minutes. Like she's just standing there and everyone's kind of like watching her. Some people are laughing, and it's just, were you laughing at this moment, or did you think it was a little bit awkward?
I felt bad because like I don't want to see her get embarrassed like that, but also like I very much enjoyed the edit of it. It didn't try to embarrass her. It went out to make fun of Caitlyn being insane.
That's always a good route to go
That's
to. I mean, let's talk a little bit about Caitlyn this week because uh, the Bros, they're on the block. They kind of have this pitch to Scotty. This is actually before, I believe, the veto meeting, and they say, "Look, take Brett off the block." I think it was Brett. They say, "Take Brett off the block and throw up Caitlyn. She betrayed your man, the Summer of Steve." And turned the Summer of Steve into just a week. She's the culprit. She should be put on the block, and we will have the votes to get her out. And Scotty, like I probably would in his situation, I might have actually held on to it a little bit longer. He blows the plan. He goes to his alliance, not his alliance, yeah, his alliance. He goes to Angie, Fessy, Bailey, Haley, and Caitlyn. They're all in the room, and he says, well, because first off, Caitlyn has a premonition that this is happening, and he spills the bean. What did you think about that whole play?
First of all, Caitlyn's premonition was Bailey talking to her beforehand and telling her that. So, like, wow, your third eye really worked out for you there, huh? Second of all, I don't think that Scotty made the right move in getting involved with the conflict that he did. Having said that, I'm glad that he made the move he did because it was more fun for us. When he walked out of that room and was like, "Oh, she knows about our secret meeting, by the way." Oh, like this week has really been like far above expectations.
Did you enjoy Scotty as the HOH? Do you think he delivered on like the entertainment value?
Oh yeah, he proved that he is not the regular nerd archetype. He's a lot more he's a lot more emotional, I would say. And not in like a crying like Amber way, but in like
Reggie.
Yeah, he just wants to do what he wants to personally do, not what he wants to do in a game sense, which I appreciate in a player.
So all right, let's go back to that confrontation because like we said, Caitlyn, she blows up. She's like, she goes downstairs, she yells at the Bros. Do you think Scotty played that right, or do you think he maybe should have held on to that information a little bit longer? Because that is a pretty big piece. Like hypothetically, let's say the next week Winston had stayed and wins HOH. Like that is, and maybe Winston's like looking, oh, well, actually that doesn't, but you kind of get what I'm saying. Like to hold on to that information that they were pushing so hard and they had this secret meeting to get out Caitlyn. Do you think he should have maybe held on to it? Like, I think that might've been a better play here.
Oh yeah, he definitely should have held on to it. Like you never want to stick yourself in the center of house drama. It's never a good look for you. And it really kind of betrayed any like potential rebuilding of trust between the Bros and Winston and the Bros and Scotty. I mean,
that was gone already.
It was gone, but like, you could have built something up theoretically in the coming weeks, but I feel like that's just like wrecking all of it. But like in the sense of me watching like Big Brother, I'd go ahead, wreck it all.
The best part was Casey's reaction because Casey has like been steering clear and she's just kind of like looking around, like laughing. It was, I was Casey in that situation. Were you?
When Tyler was by the fridge and he literally just backed up to the wall. Oh my, and then Haley ending it with like, so how's your birthday, Rachel? That was so good. It was the moment that we deserved.
Let's touch on that because we got the closest thing I feel we're ever going to get to the second coming of Keisha's birthday. We get Rachel's birthday. And like this was when all this Caitlyn drama was going down. And at the end, all it was missing was someone to say, anyone want cake, right?
I feel like it was like if Keisha's birthday is the cake, we got like a mini cupcake with this one, which I'll take because we haven't got anything in a while. But like I feel like Haley's "So how's your birthday, Rachel" was like it was like the call out to anybody want cake.
Yeah, but this is kind of all driven by Caitlyn, and I just want to keep reiterating people who are watching Big Brother casually, they're all talking about Caitlyn and how nuts she is. People might disagree with me, but I'm gonna say she's the star of the season so far.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
she is like the cast fine. Like, she is. I love to watch. I'm not saying I like her. I love to watch her. She's like enthralling. Like, she's just so, she believes it all and she's so into it. And it's just so like, are you a real person? Like, that's what I'm like thinking as I watch her. She's cracked. There's no other way to say it. What do you
Actually,
think?
she's a metaphysical practitioner.
It's I can't buy that someone is like, there was a part of me like going into the season that was thinking this is all kind of like put on. She's kind of just doing it to get on the show. But no, she legitimately like is a metaphysical practitioner. And I don't know, have you been consulting with any metaphysical practitioners lately, Ryan?
I have not personally, but I've also heard some stuff recently that Caitlyn is also an administrator of spray tans for her real income. So take that with what you will.
Would you go to her for your spray tanning needs if there were any needs?
I mean, I would. Why not?
She probably knows her stuff. You never know. But some of the other things that we should touch on for this week. One of the other big headlines is the final app store. We get it. We get our crap app. We get our power app. Let's talk about the crap app first. Who got it, Ryan?
Haley somehow.
Yeah, I was so surprised. Like, the chair that she was sitting on, like later in the week, didn't get it, which is basically the same thing as Angela. Oh my gosh, let's talk about Angela for a second because I wanted to like her so badly, and there's like a rule book that I've always think about for Big Brother, and that's go to sleep for the first month of Big Brother. Like, just don't do anything. And she's kind of doing that, but I feel there's also the difference between going to sleep and not playing the game. This has been touched on by other people. And she's like Matt. She's not like a Dan who's kind of laying low. She's just not doing period. There was actually a segment which I actually tweeted to you guys where I believe she's talking to Scotty and he's asking like, so what are you feeling? And she's like, well, today I had breakfast, then I worked out, then I worked out some more, then I had dinner, and now I'm talking to you. Like, there's no game here, right?
That's not even. Those aren't even feelings. And I feel like people like Casey, and Rachel, I would say too. She kind of gets more into like the not sleeping as much stage, but like those are the kind of spots that you want to like see people that are actually forming connections, forming relationships. They're getting with different people, but they're still like their mind is in it. Angela is just I don't even know. And the sad part is like she kind of started off really strong in that first episode. I don't know what has happened since.
I don't know if she even had a good, strong first episode. I feel like, just from remembering it, I feel like every single decision she made was wrong. Like, not wrong, but like not the smartest.
Doing something.
I don't know. I wanted to like her so badly. Like, she's everything I kind of usually like in these contestants, and she's just kind of disappointing me. So, like
Jessica
we said,
Graf, she is not.
Who is Jessica Graf though? Rachel. Like, Rachel's kind of a little bit, maybe. I don't know. A little bit. So Haley gets the crap app. She decides to go with this punishment where she has to dress up in a costume, stand on like a soapbox, and recite Hamlet. And I don't think this is the worst punishment. I feel like of the other two, this is kind of the middle one. I feel like the least bad one is kind of the yelling one with Rachel. Like that, I would have picked that one. Like that just sounds like fun. This is kind of, it's not as bad as Amazon, but it is not the worst. What did you think about it?
These are the type of punishments I don't mind. Like, I don't like when people have to do things that impact their game, especially when it's not fair. But like, if you want to like throw some of this stuff in, it gives good segments. Like, go ahead, I don't mind it.
Yeah, so she actually gets woken up at certain times of the day to continue reciting it. she kind of takes it like in stride. If I'm given the crap app, I'm probably thinking I've said something horrible, something really bad has happened. But these house guests, they're kind of not aware that really the crap apps are not given based on like if people like you or not. It's just if they're not talking about you. So you know,
even Rachel, I think, pulled Haley aside like after she got the crap app on the feed, and she's like, "It's okay, they don't hate you. You're just irrelevant." And like, that's it. Like, that really is it.
and that's not bad. I mean, like there is kind of like these people can still make a difference deep. Like I feel like each person who actually got the crap app is probably going to be around for a while. I feel like Fessy, I mean, I don't think he's going to be a target anytime soon. I don't think Haley is going to be that much. Rachel,
I don't. Rachel and Haley are probably okay. Fessy could be, depending on the level 6 I getting power.
All right. So then we also get the power app, the final power app. Who got it, Ryan?
It was the person that deserved it, Bailey.
And what is she? What's the power she chooses?
She almost got some coup d'etat type stuff. Like she got identity theft, which means she can snatch whatever HOH's identity she wants. She can go into the diary room. She can make the nominations for the HOH, and they will only have control over the renom if there is one at the veto meeting. She said that the HOH can't say that they're not their nominations, but like the episode didn't indicate that specifically, so I'm not sure about that. But it is the most powerful, I would say.
I was kind of expecting that this power would kind of play out where she has the key box and she turns it and the picture that shows up isn't the picture she put in. And that would kind of be like the big moment. And then Big Brother is going to come on and say, nope, this power has been unleashed. And this is something that's happened. Yeah, I will agree with you. I will say every single one of these power apps is pretty strong with kind of the exception of Tyler. The ones that aren't picked are the redraw and the, I think it was the power up, right? Those were the two that weren't chosen, which just leads me to believe that these were all like pretty decent. Even I feel like the redraw might have had something like where you get to pick everyone playing in the veto or something, something like really overpowered because each thing is more than I had expected. But yeah, Bailey, this she could do a lot of damage with this. But I want to ask you, Ryan, why do you think she got this power? Why was she the one chosen as the top trending?
I think that the internet fans, like the super fans of Big Brother, really came together for Bailey. And like the messenger bot to vote for this is so ridiculous and complicated, and it broke down all the time. And it was so irritating to use that no casual is ever going to put in the time and effort that it took to vote. But like the super fans, like, I mean, they have the patience and they actually care enough for it. So I think that with everyone kind of collectively uniting behind Bailey, it easily pushed her over the top.
This is the Jessica Graf space. This is she loses her showmance. To the casual viewers, it might seem like there are a lot of people who are against her. This is, like I said, this is the equivalent of the halting hex, except probably better. Do you think?
Depending on how I would say it's better actually, because you can get out a target instead of you can play it offensively and defensively, where the halting hex is kind of just defensive.
What do you think is Bailey's play here? She has this power. Moving forward in the coming weeks, like, do you think it would be best to kind of use it offensively or maybe use it defensively?
I think you need to wait, obviously, until someone not in your alliance gets HOH. Like, I don't think you should ever do it just because someone in your alliance is doing something you disagree with. Like, just because Caitlin's going after the wrong level 6 person, unless she's like targeting someone from your alliance, you shouldn't take over hers. But I'm just worried that she uses it on a week like this, where it doesn't actually matter, considering the person has a chance to come back, but maybe it gets flushed out.
Let's talk about these powers because we have Sam has the 1-up. We have Tyler has it's the cloud, and we have Bailey with this identity theft. I'm half expecting this next week because Sam hasn't used her 1-up. That means that this next week there is very likely, basically, it means no one's going to be going home. Basically, someone will be going home, but they will compete in a competition, probably going to be a gimme, and they're going to come back. I'm a little bit, there's a small part of me kind of hoping for Advantage Get In again. Like, I don't know if you watched the Survivor season. And of course, that Big Brother Advantage Get In is going to end with Cirie, of course, being evicted again. Cirie is just going to be dropped into the house to be like evicted. Like, everyone's going to use their power. She's going to just be there. They're going to be like, all right, you got to go. Do you kind of
don't
make that happen?
Don't make me mad. I don't want to imagine that. And I just don't want, I want Bailey's power to mean something when it happens. I honestly want Tyler's power to mean something when it happens, and I don't want it to culminate in nothing. So I hope that it's not Advantage Get In, because like, while that's a fun idea, I just don't think the actual results in the game would be fun.
I'm getting an update from Twitter that Cirie has just been helicoptered into the Big Brother house. And on that note, I'm going to end that joke. But yeah, so looking forward, Sam's power this week is probably going to be a little bit of a dud week. We'll talk a bit about it more in our spoiler section. But otherwise, are there any kind of big points you want to touch on from the week that we haven't brought up yet?
I don't think so. I'm honestly, like, most of the action came in the Kaitlyn Brett fight, and then tonight and what's happened. So I think we should push on to what happened today.
Let's I guess so. One thing though, I do just want to touch. I have this actually written down in my notes. This is kind of a bit unrelated, like to the episode, to the feeds and all that stuff. When people go in to cast their votes, there's always, like, for many of the contestants, they take a good 5 seconds to give out their shout outs. And I always hate it. Do you, Ryan?
Was everyone that Casey has ever met born today? I just didn't understand how that happened.
I mean, I remember, like, my immediate family's birthday. Like, I don't remember all my friends' birthday. Like, it's a lot of birthdays to remember. When you walk in, if you're ever lucky enough to be cast on the Big Brother season and you go to cast your vote to evict, whose shout outs are you going for?
Oh, so I talked to Jason about this the other day, and we both said if we get in the house, we're gonna sit in the chair. I vote to evict da-da-da. Thank you, Julie. Thank you. Mariah is skinny. Then you walk out.
Oh God.
And that's it.
And I have nothing. I haven't even thought of it that much, which is kind of sad. I'm not as big of a Big Brother fan as you guys are, I guess. Another thing, actually unrelated, that I guess we touched on this in the pre-show, but whenever the house guests are, this is a point that, as much as the live votes bother me, what bothers me even more is when the person is evicted and the house guests hold the door open so that they can kind of wave at the camera. And I wasn't the biggest fan of Winston. I loved his exit, especially because he went so quickly. And if you look, he actually pushes the door closed so that they don't see him. And he opens the door. And I'm giving you a point. I'm giving points to Winston for that, because thank you, because they don't deserve any. They just voted him out. Like, they don't deserve it, right?
These are not your friends. These are not your loved ones. These are people that just took away your chance at a lot of money. So do not help them. Do not make them happy.
They do not deserve the right to, like, cheer at the camera and people sitting there. It just always bothers me. If I'm ever there, I'm like going to purposely, like, just inch my way out and close the door. It'll be really awkward on live TV. There'll probably be gifts. Maybe I'll be a new Devon. 100% not happening though, but just something I could dream about. So let's talk about some of these other house guests and how their week went. Let's talk a little bit about Haley and her gameplay this week. So like we said, she gets this crap app. She kind of takes it in stride. Do you think she had a good week or a bad week? Do you think she was ever potentially in danger? Probably not though, right?
Okay, I was initially scared for her because Scotty was just acting a fool, and I still don't think he had good reasons for it, but it is what it is. In reality, she wasn't in danger. And I feel like she had a fine week. Like, it would just kind of is meh. And that's good. Like, you want to be in that position in week 3 when you still have 60 something days left.
I agree. I think Haley is pretty well set up to go deep in this competition. There's not really that much more content to talk about. She did get a little bit more exposure, but other than that, let's move on to another key character of this week. I feel like I said I feel like there were four people who kind of had the spotlight. They were Tyler, Scotty, the Bros. I'm going to count as one and two, and Caitlyn. Those were, in my opinion, the four stars of the week. So. Tyler is, let's talk about him because he had a very strong start in the season. This week, he kind of takes a step back, but he is the swing vote. He is the person who is going to decide. Caitlyn is kind of going back to like the remnants of Faute, and she gets confirmation. Tyler's like, I will vote for you. I will vote with you. I will vote with your side. And he doesn't. Do you think he's going to maybe be called out on this? I mean, what do you think about that play?
Tyler's already been exposed by people like Rockstar and Scotty, at least within that group. Like, they already don't trust him. They know he's playing both sides, and like they're very aware of it. I think the tricky part is Caitlyn. Can he reel Caitlyn back in? And like my gut instinct is to say yes, but also like Caitlyn could explode and wreck his relations with other people before she's reeled back in. So I feel like those are going to be tricky waters to navigate, and I'm hoping for excitement from that.
Yeah, Caitlyn seemed like she wrote on his arm. Like she said, I will drop everything for you. She seemed very into him. And, you know, it's creepy and it's weird, but it's a number. And that's something that is a little bit integral. And this week, I'm starting to see a little bit of her kind of, she is not a Victoria. She is not going to 100% like give her game to Derek or Tyler. She is going to be messy. And what do you think is the play for Tyler here? Because he kind of week one, he reels this girl in. She's kind of a little bit defeated. He pulls her and he gives her the attention she wants so badly and turns him into a little, not so much a minion, but a little bit of a minion. What do you think? She's gotten a little bit too obsessed, and this is at a point where it could damage him. What do you think he needs to do?
I think that he was absolutely right when he said in the diary room tonight, like, she's bad for my game. And I think that the best thing that could happen for him is to let Caitlyn go. As well, I think that she's a number. I think she's a liability over a number. And I think that he can pull enough other people together and work with other relationships in the house. But like, I feel like trying to manage Caitlyn is just not worth his time, sanity, and it's too dangerous. It's like one step away from exploding that minefield.
But what in your opinion though is the play to get her out? Like how do you even manage that with her without her flipping her stuff and just losing it and saying, Tyler, you betrayed me. Like you're done. I'm going to make sure everyone knows everything you told me. Like that is a very dangerous thing to have.
He shouldn't be the one to do it for sure. But like, I think that's an easy sell to literally almost anyone in the house. Like maybe we'll see him try and get Caitlyn out this week. Like I know they know about the power, but like maybe he tries to get Caitlyn out anyway and just hope that she doesn't come back.
Like I said,
I will say if it wasn't the week where someone's coming back, I feel like Sam being HOH is like the perfect spot to try and get Caitlyn out for Tyler.
All right. Let's talk a little bit more about Caitlyn because she's pretty much the star of the week. Do you think what did you think about her gameplay for this week?
Oh, it was awful. It was truly just completely as terrible as I could expect. Thank you.
Pretty much. Let's move on here to another topic, another actual house guest. It is Sam we're going to talk about for a second. So Sam has this power app. This is her last week to use it. Julie, during the episode, is talking a lot about, will she use it? Who knows? Keep watching. She doesn't use it. Do you think she made the right move?
No, not for her game. For like what I wanted, yeah. I'm glad it wasn't used, I think. I'm glad it wasn't used because I didn't want to see one of those two benefit from it. But like for her game, I think might as well because you don't know what's going to happen this week. And you might as well gain a strong ally that like is immediately like that's a new level of loyalty that you've just earned by using that power on them.
On the topic of Sam, the last time we saw her, she's pretty close with Tyler and JC. who is she? Where kind of does she fit into the alliance? Who, since that week has come and gone, who is she kind of very good with, and who is she not so good with? Who are her allies?
Her number one is Tyler for sure. And then I think she has working relationships with Scotty, with even though he's like on the other side. But also I think she's good with Rachel, Casey, Angela, and then like also JC.
Do you think she's set up to go deep, or do you think she's?
I would be surprised if Sam is not at least sitting in final five.
All right. Who? Now let's kind of move on to another house guest I want to touch on really quickly. We touched on Haley, Bailey, Fessy. We kind of touched on most of them. Let's talk about JC because JC is one of those house guests. Everyone was kind of thinking he's probably going to be a Jose figure out really early. He's not. I think he's actually pretty well strategically minded. What did you think about his week this go around?
There was one moment of it that was I don't talk about it. In terms of game, like pure game, he's like fine. You know, he's good at playing up to people's emotions and desires. He's good at playing at someone like Caitlyn. And I think that he's far exceeded game expectations.
I agree. That's the thing is, like I said, the four main characters of this week were those four, and everyone else was kind of like in the background. There wasn't that much that they were doing. But I guess, do you want to touch on Rachel? Is there any kind of big things that really happened with her, or is like with her, Casey, and Angie? There's kind of not that much to go on. Are there any like points you kind of want to touch on?
There's like the Girls Alliance like talks, but I don't think it was anything relevant enough.
Yeah, that actually is something worth discussing, I think. So the first three evictees have all been guys. So guys are starting to vanish in the Big Brother house. They're becoming a bit endangered. And I think it was Angie Rockstar who comes up with this idea that, you know, let's get all the girls together. Maybe we could make something happen here. An all girls alliance. These have not worked in the past unless you're the Ball Smashers on BBOTT. Why do you think girl alliances don't work usually on Big Brother?
There's always at least one that just runs back, if not all of them, which is frustrating. But oftentimes they're also like too big. Like they're normally 5 or more, you know? And I feel like if you want a solid girls alliance, maybe try and make it like the 3 or 4. Something like, this isn't going to be popular, but something like Casey, Rachel, and Angela, just those 3. I mean, that is pretty much a girls alliance, and that's pretty solid. And I feel like that's the type of grouping that you want, like a very concentrated and a very low-key girls alliance.
I think so. I guess I think you're right. So the final thing I just want to touch on before we move on to the final to spoiler talk. So like we said, Tyler has flipped. Do you think that Caitlyn's intuition will clue her in that Tyler has flipped, or do you think she is going to defend that he wasn't the flip vote?
I think that she will struggle with it, but I don't think she'll accept it for a few days. She might at some point, but I feel like it's going to be I could see her going around and blaming literally every single person except for Tyler for a little bit.
Who else then do you think this, because there's a lot of time in the Big Brother house, who do you think the blame is going to come down on?
I don't know. Maybe Angie, honestly. Like maybe Brett's lie worked.
Yeah, that would be. It's
possible.
Set her up pretty, like he did kind of set her up. But on that note, unless you kind of have any final things you want to touch on for the week, we're gonna look forward. Are you ready to look forward?
Let's just wrap it up with the HOH.
So this is your spoiler warning to all the people watching who don't want to be informed about things that are going on the feeds. So Ryan, the episode leaves off with the house guest. It is the infamous wall competition. It's hold on for dear life, last person standing. So while they're hanging on the wall, what's happened since the episode's wrapped?
It came down to like a 4-person grouping, it seems. So it really was like Tyler, Sam, Caitlyn, and Casey really in it. And And then Caitlyn and Casey came down pretty much at the same time. And at that point, Tyler threw it to Sam, which means the girl that knows for a positive fact that no one will go home this week just won HOH.
I had a lot of thoughts while I was watching this competition. It was only like an hour or two ago. And I just kept looking. My eye during this competition was on Tyler. And Tyler knows. He knows all the details. And I was just thinking, all right, if I'm Tyler and I have all the information that he has, you got to wait until Haley drops and Angie drop. After that, you're good. Like, I don't think anyone else would kind of put him up. Why do you think he stuck around as long as he did?
I think he was nervous about Caitlyn because she is an insane wild card. You truly don't know. Like, obviously, the instinct is, oh, she's not going to go after Tyler, but like you don't know after the last vote. But so I understand the idea of him wanting to stay up and just until she's gone, but I still don't think it was the right move.
But even if she does, like, no one's going home this week. Like, there's no risk here. Like, if hypothetically she does turn on him and puts him on the block, first of all, he has his own power if he wants to use it. Second, there's the level, the one up. Like, he's pretty good. Like, if she's gonna flip, now is the week for her to flip, where he knows that she's gonna flip. He knows that she's going to do all this stuff to him. Just think something about.
I guess from our perspective, it really is annoying because it's like no one's going home this week. They know no one's going home this week. Like, what's the point? But you're in the house, and even if you quote unquote know this information, you don't want to be the one evicted. You know, like you never want to put yourself in that spot. You never want to be the Lawan. You never want to evict yourself for special powers. And I can understand, obviously, avoiding actually being evicted at all costs, even if, like, you quote-unquote know.
I guess. But let's talk about Sam. So we were talking about a little bit about this in the pre-show. So she is now the HOH. She knows, as do certain people in the house. I don't think everyone knows the full details of her power, but no one is likely going home. This is going to probably be a bit of a dud week. Mm-hmm. What do you think she's going to do now that she's HOH? What's her move here?
I have no clue. Like, I would love to see her just evict Tyler and purely tell him, like, it's okay, we know you're not leaving. I would love her to nominate people and just, like, calmly explain to them, well, I'm sorry, but you're actually not going home. I don't want to see her, like, make enemies out of people she doesn't need to make enemies out of. But I don't know what options she has now.
I think this might be a little bit of an unpopular opinion because I know people are a fan of this person. But since this is a dud week and not everyone knows all the details of the power, this is the week to try and flush other people's powers. Like, Bailey, I don't know that she knows 100% all the details. And I feel like Sam is going to, because she's a good person and she's not the biggest game player, she might call everyone and say, look, no one's going home. I have this power. And that is just gonna, there is some gameplay I feel to be played here. Like, if, I don't know if Sam is going to be the kind of player to do it. If this was Tyler, I feel he would. This is your chance to flush other people's powers. This is your chance to maybe say to people, you know what, I'm going to maybe put you up because in the hopes that they're going to flush it. Do you think that is kind of the right play here? And do you think Sam will maybe be smart enough to go for it?
She absolutely will not go for that. But it is like, it's the right move, but it's only the right move if you have that knowledge. And no one knows about Tyler's, and only Fessy knows about Bailey's. So I just don't think that there's anyone in the house that would even Tyler does not have the ability to do that.
Okay. Well, in the event that someone is evicted, they're going to be competing in this competition to return to the house. Ryan, who in your opinion is most likely to be placed in a position where they have to compete and will still lose the competition? And is that possible?
Winston I feel like there's gonna be some way, like no matter what, like the person is coming back. But like I'm still nervous. Like I don't want Angie Rockstar to go out like that, but I'm really, really scared for her.
This is a good season, but if someone like Angie Rockstar is evicted and then loses the returning competition, sure we lose Angie, but now it's a great season. Now there's a lot of entertainment value to be found in Julie Chen like saying, Angie, you have been evicted. You did not win. Please gather your things and leave. Like that's the stuff a legendary season is made of, I feel.
I want Angie, if that happens, I want her to go up. I want her to take that comp, and I want her to come down and be like, sorry, Brett, I'm right here.
I guess. But yeah, looking forward, I don't know if you have heard any rumblings from the feeds of what's going on with Sam's opinion. Like I said, I feel like if she's the smart game plays, try and suss out some of these powers this week. Don't tell anyone it's a dud week. Play it straight. Like just that's, in my opinion, the way to go here. But unless you have any other points to make, I guess we're gonna kind of call it there.
I think that's it for me.
Did we cover everything? We got everything. I feel like we pretty much touched. That was a lot of content, but a lot of stuff to go through. There was a lot of videos to watch. But I do just want to say to our viewers, my name is Adam Samuel. You can find me on Twitter at Adam's Soapbox. You can find my two websites, adamsoapbox.com, adamstvblog.com. I'm going to be having a new big article coming out on my soapbox either this week or next week. Just something to look out for. Where can we find you, Ryan?
Go ahead and you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, all at Ryan Temple TBH.
Yes. So looking forward, just some housekeeping points. I'm going to be podcasting again on Wednesday with Eric. We are going to be covering the next week of America's Got Talent. Ryan, are you watching America's Got Talent?
Oh, no, I don't like that show.
It's been a little rough this season. But moving forward, we are still, for our Big Brother recaps, we are figuring out some other times we might be going live. We might be switching up the schedules. You can follow me on Twitter to keep up with updates. I will be sharing any new news that we come to. Other than that, I just want to say to Ryan, thank you so much for joining me. It's always great to have these discussions with you. And otherwise, thank you to our viewers. This has been fun. See you guys on Wednesday. Peace.